Yo, 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 and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday. Happy episode 276.
276.
And happy New Year. Oh, I thought we were going for New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year. You heard from us on Tuesday if you listen to TBBs, but if not, happy 2026.
Yeah, and you heard from us on New Year's Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you heard from us on New Year's Day twice because we did not only our Thursday episode, but and That's Why We Drinks listeners episode.
True. Okay.
So if you haven't listened to that, and oh my God, we talked your ears off.
So you're telling me that it's January 5th right now and we have
1, 2. This is our fourth episode.
It'll be January 8th.
Yeah.
And you'll have 4 episodes from
Unheard
next
of.
year. We're taking a break.
Yeah. Next year, FYI, we're off. I wonder what day New Year's and Christmas fall next year.
It'll be Friday.
Friday?
They're always the day after.
Is it the day after?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm going to like a Friday. I would enjoy a Friday because Christmas Eve, that means we'll be on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm. New Year's on a Thursday night is good because then you can recover Friday and you still have your weekend.
Yeah.
And carry on.
Yeah, you guys heard me talk about my dilemmas with, you know, the extended
Let's
time.
talk about our New Year's. You guys, so the Monday before New Year's Eve, we were like...
We're sitting here recording.
We were sitting here recording and our group chat with our girls started blowing up. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? And I was like, I'm just going to offer to host it because we have such a large group of friends.
We do.
On New Year's Eve specifically that will all, you know, gather together. It has been so difficult the last couple of years. Fun, but very difficult to find a place that will accommodate all of us that doesn't take reservations, right?
Yes.
So like a bar space that we can all, like last year we were at Sabrina Carpenter's
Brother Wolf
theme Sabrina Carpenter, and we were split one, and then we were literally like this shoulder to shoulder. Like, it was still a good time.
It was.
And then we always are like, let's go somewhere else.
And we had to wait in line.
Then we wait in a line. They're like $50 a head, and we're like, perfect. We'll be here all night. 10 minutes later, we're like, all right, let's dip. Home. And then so we were like, okay, let's not do that. I'll host it. So Taylor and I had this idea that we would do this disco karaoke. So we're sitting here. Taylor orders 200 disco balls. We're like, we're gonna deck the ceiling out in these disco balls. Like, this is gonna be so fun. Let's get this, let's get that. We start ordering all this shit, and Taylor comes over Thursday Wednesday early before the party started to help me decorate. She goes, picks up a couple things and helps me out. And she gets there, and we were like, oh yeah, that box is really small for 200 disco balls. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, maybe they're inflatable.
That's what I was thinking.
I was like, maybe you have to blow them up, which would really suck.
That would have been really
bad.
Bad.
At the end of the day, maybe they're inflatable. No, guys, they were golf balls.
They were smaller than golf balls. Ping pong balls. Whatever the fuck is smaller than a golf ball.
We opened it, we're like, yep. That makes sense.
Yep, that's why that shit was cheap.
That was a 9 o'clock Monday night order after recording.
So then they didn't even come with strings already attached, just loops. Well, thank God, me and Morgan have about 900 little things of yarn
from our
photo shoot when we did the detective board. So I brought those over. Me and Morgan get how many do you think we got done?
Maybe 50.
We were like, done. That's it. We're not doing anymore.
Yeah.
So we're like,
maybe not even, but we like did it in places that made sense.
Yes, it looked really cute.
And then I last minute ordered like a shimmer wall thingy.
Yes,
with
that
big
saved
balloons.
It, really,
that saved it.
Really
and Taylor had these a cheesecloth
there are table runners that are really thin, like sheer, and we draped them.
Oh wait, this is funny.
Oh wait, did you whatever?
Hey, I haven't taken them down yet.
Morgan, you're gonna have to take those nails out.
I know. So Aaron and I, we were trying to get Aaron out of the house because we were like, we don't have anything to hang.
No, I forgot the tags.
These cloths up, and we were like, I was like, well, we can just do nails. And I was like, but Aaron cannot hear us hammering nails
into the wall first.
Because
we're not allowed to anymore after our
we fuck up every house.
We ruin every single house.
So we were like, we got to get him out. I'm like, hey, when are you going to go get that water? He's like, oh, I'm just going to go right now. And so the second he runs out that door, we go sprinting in to find the tool bag, get the hammer, get the nails. He fucking comes back in.
He walks back in. And we had just said, what if he walks back in?
Hammer and the nails, throws it back on the couch. She's like, yeah, hey, what are you looking for? Meanwhile, I'm gone.
Not suspicious at all.
And he's like, the car keys.
Because the second, when he left, we were standing there tying the rest of those disco balls. The second he's gone, we're
10 seconds
hiding
later.
in a room. We're hiding in a room together, out of earshot.
And the gas station's like literally 2 minutes down the road. And he's just getting water and ice. And so we power hammered.
Oh my God.
8 nails into the wall. Had it. We're like, he's back.
So we're throwing him up.
So funny.
It was so funny. We were cackling. He didn't ask any questions, and he still hasn't addressed it.
No, he didn't ever address it, and he never asked any questions because he's a guy. He's like, oh, cool. He probably didn't even notice it.
He probably thought we taped him up.
He probably literally didn't even notice.
Yeah, he probably was like, oh, this is how my house always looks.
Yeah, he's
with
like
drapes on all the archways.
Wow, it's like a wedding venue here.
Yeah, but it was a really fun New Year's Eve. We did the thing that you're proud of from 2025, what your wish is for 2026. Yeah. Love that.
It was probably one of my favorite New Year's Eves in the last couple of years.
Yes, it really was. I enjoy when we're all just together and we can actually talk and hang out. Yeah. Like when we're at the bar, we really can't because first off, we're screaming. Right. Not that we weren't screaming. I'm surprised that me and Morgan have voices to speak with you guys because at the end of the night, me and Morgan were both like
2:45 a.m. Mind you. 2:45.
I can't even talk about the time. That no wonder why we were in comas this entire weekend. Seriously, not
2:45 a.m. You guys, it was.
You know, me and Morgan don't even be doing like that.
There was at one point we have these friends. We love them to death.
Yes.
And there was one point where Aaron and I said, "All right, well, you guys are gonna have to lock the door behind you
because we're going to bed.
We're going to bed." They ended up leaving, but it was just so funny. But no, it was a really, really good time.
It was a really fun time. And then we got our gifts from our P.O. box.
Yes. Oh my God.
So Seth and Sherry sent us some really cute hats. They even sent 2 for Logan and Aaron.
Yep. Merch. Really gotta rep the merch, which I will probably be repping.
Yeah, actually.
Because Logan's like, I'll switch you that for the alien.
Yeah, Logan wanted the alien.
So Logan and I did a little switch, and I'm going to be repping Seth's company.
I will also be repping Seth's company. So that's where we are at with that. And then also Kaylee, who I
Kaylee and Bruin
exclusively want to call Callie.
Because I called her Callie
for 20 years.
For literally 5 years.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until a month or 2 ago, she's like, it's Kaylee.
It's actually Kaylee.
We're like, oh, you never corrected us, not once.
Dude, we've talked about you. So, every listener's like,
Kaylee sent us this box. And Kaylee, I didn't tell you this because I didn't want to stress you out. But I'm going to send you a picture when you hear this. The box kind of shit the bed.
The box was busted open.
The box was absolutely destroyed.
And what did the lady say to you when she had
She was like, she goes to pick up, she goes, whoo, looks like we resealed this. She was like, ooh, I hope everything's in there. I'm like, yeah, me too.
Yeah, babe, I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
I
don't
really
know
hope so. We don't know what's going to be in there. But we opened it and everything was accounted for.
Yeah.
So, Callie?
Honestly, I'm about to just fucking call you Callie. If it wasn't disrespectful,
I'm so sorry.
Didn't know your name.
I'm so sorry, Callie.
But you guys, I mean, we got the cutest.
She gave us these beautiful bracelets. Morgan's is...
Mine's a gold little chain with a little ollie on it. Yeah. It's so cute. I wish you could see it.
And mine's a little gold chain bracelet, did I say necklace? Bracelet that says Jackie, and it has a cross, and I believe it's his birthstone in it as well.
Cute.
And
we got the
so cute,
cutest little hair clips, pink and purple.
The cutest claw clips. Which thank God, because I'm the black one that's in my hair right now. No, the black one that's in my hair right now. She's hanging on by a thread, and I've never been able to find one that exact same shape. And Callie, you delivered it. You delivered it to my doorstep. I didn't even have to go looking for it. Thank you. So many books for when we need inspiration.
Guys, so many books. I'm sorry. Actually, the next year, I'm going to be covering New England stories.
So sponsored by Callie. Gifts for the girls in Ollie.
Yes, Ollie got,
so
and it's perfect because it's his birthday. Ollie turns 5 today. It's his golden year.
Yes,
my golden year. So he's going to be eating up those treats and his toy.
Yes,
from Brew.
Then we also got special sweet treats because Callie gave us her homemade, highly requested chocolate chip cookies, individually wrapped and sealed.
And let me just tell you,
oh my God,
Taylor and I are usually like, we're not gonna eat food because what if you're trying anthrax?
Like, what if you try to kill us?
And I was like, honestly,
I really don't think
her name's on the box. Like, I really do trust
we have her first and
like,
last. We have her address on Patreon.
She has my phone number.
Yeah. So
we'll if she wanted to kill me, she knew she'd get back in trouble. So we ate it, and they were
bussin'. I can't wait to eat more tonight. Whenever I'm gonna pour some milk over.
Stop. I'll literally go get one right
Oh my
now,
God.
actually.
I'm so starved. It's the only thing I can think about.
But
it's
yeah,
the only thing
you're
I've had in my
grounded,
mouth today.
Kaylee.
You're
Galley.
so grounded. Thank you for the turkey sandwich. You
Thank
both
you
know
for
what
the
that
turkey
means.
sandwich.
Everyone who sent us something, grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded.
It's so sweet, but we love it.
We love it all so much. I really do love this bracelet.
I know.
That says Jackie. Thank you so much.
And it's perfect because we actually have this little like stack that we've been building of these little what are they called?
Special bracelets.
Yeah,
forever bracelets.
These forever bracelets, and that has been added to my collection.
Yes.
I want to take the chain to one of those people and be like, "Hey, can you actually?"
Caroline would definitely do it for us.
Could you mold that?
Caroline 100% would.
It'd be sick.
I bet she would if we took it to her. Actually, that's a really good idea, Morgan. Let's do that.
Okay.
Also, because my shit is getting tangled. Yeah. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bracelets on this hand. I can't put bracelets on my right hand. Everything has to go on my left because if it's on my right hand, all of a sudden I don't know how to write. I don't know how to type. I don't know how to brush my hair. I don't know how to wash my hair. Like, don't know how to brush my teeth. I don't know what it is about this stupid right hand of mine. The only thing I can have on it is a watch when we go to dinner.
Yeah.
And it goes on in the car on the way to dinner, and then it's taken off immediately after.
I have found a newfound appreciation for bracelets, actually, because I was not a bracelet girly, but this one's been on almost for a year. Yeah. It's a little tarnished, which
Morgan,
makes
do you know
sad.
what this bracelet is? The one that's silver?
What's it have on it?
Little diamonds that are squares.
No.
It's Ana Luisa.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's like one of our earliest sponsors.
See, I never even would have thought to buy an Ana Luisa bracelet because
I wasn't
a bracelet girl.
Yeah.
But I have a newfound appreciation for them. And so thank you for my collection. Look how good that looks.
It does look so. I love bracelets. They really just, one dainty bracelet, 2 dainty bracelets, you've upgraded your look by 100%. 110%.
Yeah.
I love a dainty little bracelet on me. I really do. We should get 15 more.
I'm fine.
Might as well. What else did I say that we're going to talk about? Those are 2 things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And because we talked so much in that TBB, we're going to have to let you go because it's nearly 9 o'clock right now.
Yeah, we're really late, guys. So if you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get creepy.
Guess who's back? Tovala's back, baby. You guys know we love Tovala. It's one of our favorite sponsors. And after all of the craziness of the holidays, our families, me and Morgan, Logan, and Aaron, that's about it, could definitely use a break from cooking.
Especially for me grilling up on New Year's Eve. Let me tell you.
Morgan was whipping it up. And that's exactly what you'll get from today's sponsor, Tovala. Guys, directly to your door. So easy to make. And honestly, the joy of my life to make.
If you love great food but hate cooking or cleaning, my hand is raised. Listen up, because this just made our weeknight meals about 10 times easier. Before I had Tovala, I was kind of really messing up my cooking. Yeah, and me too. Also my cleaning habits, because I would let those dishes just sit there up.
I also am not a big fan of microwaving meals.
You are a microwave hater.
You know I'm an anti-microwave girl, and that little Tovala oven, she really is everything and more that I needed in my life.
Bakes, broils,
whatever you need,
toast.
That little oven that sits on your countertop and is gorgeous, by the way, will change your life and deliver all of that.
All from the click of your phone, also, mind you.
From an app.
This podcast is sponsored by Tovala. Tovala is a smart meal delivery service, fresh meals, and a smart oven that does the cooking for you.
Tovala makes it so easy. You can just scan the meals QR code, pop it in the oven, and it cooks everything to perfection. Steams, bakes, broils automatically. No guesswork needed. During Tovala's New Year's sale, you can get a free Tovala Smart Oven when you order 6+ times by heading to tovala.com/CAC and use our code CAC.
And if you're on my Snap Streaks, you know I sent one out a little late last night, but that's because I was making the chicken parmesan with cheesy stuffed shells and marinara in my Tovala oven. God. It was incredible, and I was like, I'm going to wait till this is done cooking. That way I can send it out to my people and say, hey, use code CAC if you want a meal like this.
If you want to get involved in this. Tovala's meals are chef crafted and taste just like the homemade meals you'd make for yourself, just without all the headache. Plus, all of Tovala's meals are made with real fresh ingredients.
As you guys know, Tovala is our favorite sponsor ever, because it is so quick, it's fresh, it's easy, it's not microwave.
It's delicious.
It's the love of our life.
It really is the love of our life. We love you, Tovala. And Tovala's Smart Oven just isn't for their meals. You can also use the oven to scan store-bought groceries like Eggo waffles, waffles, Pillsbury cinnamon rolls, and one of my personal favorites, Amy's frozen meals, just to name a few. And it knows how to cook them too.
If you're like most people, Tavalla is great because you can eat better without putting in a ton of effort. There are high protein options, calorie smart options, gluten-free, comfort food, whatever you're into. With Tavalla, you can finally remove dinner from your to-do list.
For a limited time, because you are a CNC bestie, during Tavalla's New Year's sale, you can get a free Tavalla Smart Oven when you order 6+ times by heading to tavalla.com/CAC and using our code CAC.
That's a free Tavalla Smart Oven when you head to tavalla.com/CAC and use promo code CAC. One last time, that's TOVALA.com, and make sure you use our promo code CAC for a free Tavalla Smart Oven. Remember, with Tavalla, dinner is taken care of, and you will not regret it.
You will be so in
Best purchase of your life.
Truly. Okay, Morgie Poo, what do you have for us today?
Okay, today we're kind of diving into a little bit of religion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Didn't really know we were going to go that route, but it turns out we did.
That's where we landed.
So this is a story of a man who allegedly, we're getting very spiritual. This is a story of a man who allegedly walked between worlds. And I mean, when I say worlds, heaven, earth, and hell.
Oh, Vecna.
This is Vecna, or the story of Emanuel Swedenborg.
Okay, Swedenborg, let's hear it.
Emanuel van Swedenborg was born on January 29th, 1688 in Stockholm, Sweden, into a family that was already prominent in the Lutheran Church, which is at that time, or is still, a major Protestant Christian church.
Yes.
His father, Jesper Swedenborg, served as a respected pastor and later became Bishop of Skara. Now, Bishop of Skara was actually one of the highest forms, from my understanding, as you were the bishop of the Diocese of Skara, which is one of the oldest dioceses of the church. It's a huge honor. Anyway, as you can imagine, Emanuel was immersed in religion since a very young age. His mother was Sarah Bem Swedenborg, the daughter of a pretty well-off mine owner. Owned the mine.
Got you.
Money talks. And although Emanuel wrote very little about his early childhood, public records and also his father's autobiography make clear that he was raised between both faith and education, especially at this time was the Enlightenment of, you know, education and seeking out these mathematics. And like that was the era of enlightenment.
Well, also you can't come from a very prominent wealthy family like his mother's side and, you know, not get into education where typically if you come from like a pastor family, they wouldn't put so much emphasis on it because then evolution.
Right, exactly. When Emanuel was still a little boy, the family moved to the university town of Uppsala because his father took a position as a theology professor.
Oh shit, so his dad's even in higher education.
Yeah.
Theology.
Uppsala at the turn of the 18th century was one of the intellectual centers of Sweden, and it blended traditional Lutheran teachings with these emerging new Enlightenment ideas from across Europe. And Emanuel actually entered the University of Uppsala as a young teenager, studying there from around age 11 and graduating in 1709.
God, I forgot we were in the 1700s.
Yeah, wait, 17? Hold on, I think I did my math wrong because I have him down as 13. Oh, wait, that was my last thing. 1709 minus 1688. So 1709. Okay. At Uppsala, he studied a broad range of subjects like mathematics, languages, natural science, philosophy. And although his father was present on campus, because again, he was 11 years old, his own intelligence quickly was able to distinguish him as a very intelligent person. Everybody knew Emanuel, and his interests extended far beyond theology, what his father taught, into what we would now call physics, mechanics, engineering, so on and so forth.
Wow, what a privilege to have an education of that level in this time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's so young.
That is so young.
After graduation, Emanuel spent about 5 years traveling across Europe to broaden his horizons. He visited England, Holland, France, Germany, which apparently actually was a very common practice for educated men at the time, but he took it a little bit further than most. He traveled and learned for the next 15 years of his life.
Wow, dedication.
In England, he was studying under or alongside these very prolific contemporary scientific minds and observed astronomical and mechanical methods firsthand. And according to the Swedenborg Foundation, in each location he studied not just theory, but practical science and mechanics. So that's botany, zoology, geology, mining engineering. He was absorbing all sorts of cutting edge knowledge that was the early Enlightenment. This man was a fucking genius, you guys. When he returned to Sweden in 1715, he brought back not only academic knowledge, but a growing reputation as a polymath, which is a brilliant thinker capable of innovation across multiple disciplinaries, aka genius.
Genius.
You're a polymath. That's like the highest, like,
yeah.
What? I'm a what?
I'm
a fucking genius?
Wow.
He soon published his early inventions and ideas, and this included designs for devices like a flying machine, an airplane, and a submarine. And he became involved with scientific publication. Now, his first major scientific project was actually editing and writing for Daedalus Hyperboreus, which is Sweden's first scientific journal. And this is where he showcased his mechanical and mathematical discoveries.
Wow.
This journal helped establish him as one of Sweden's leading minds. And as one of Sweden's leading minds, it caught the attention of King Charles XII, who appointed him as assessor at the Royal Board of Mines, which was a significant and prestigious post that placed him at the heart of Sweden's economic and technological development, the mines.
Wow.
The mining industry was essential to Sweden's economy at this time, and his role involved overseeing and improving mining practices using everything that he learned in those last 15 years and also childhood, and also I'm assuming probably passed down from grandpa.
Right.
And engineering, and then also I know this word, metallurgy, like metallic, allergy. You guys know what I mean. We all mining shit. I don't know, geology shit. In 1719, royal recognition of the family's contributions, specifically from Emmanuel, elevated the Swedenborg family to the nobility, and they were given the name Swedenborg.
Wow.
This change brought with it social status, obviously, and entry into the Swedish House of Nobles, where Emmanuel served as a representative, adding politics to his resume. It's like huge. Like,
that's a mega accomplishment for your entire family line,
like,
for generations.
When you reach that point, everybody in the country of Sweden knew who these people were.
Yes, and it's not like
they were respected.
They're changing office. Like, these people are in it for life. Yeah. Like, that's crazy.
It is crazy. For much of the next 2 decades or so, Emmanuel was known throughout Sweden and parts of Europe as an accomplished scientist, a philosopher, and an engineer, mining engineer. He published extensively on chemistry, physics, mathematics, natural philosophy, and he was also making contributions to anatomy and physiology as he was trying to seek out these connections between the physical body and the concept of the soul. To everyone around him, he was not this like mystical figure. He really truly was a respected thinker. He was grounded. He was intelligent. All of which is important to say because it was only later in life, after decades of scientific work and creating this respect from the country, that Emmanuel began to turn inward toward this like spiritual questions in a way that would eventually transform his legacy.
It really sucks because like he's just doing like quantum physics, like is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, just not getting the answers from science.
And he is someone who is incredibly respected and has the resume to prove that he is a, like you said, like a very well-respected
man of reason
thinker and someone who like actually uses education to support his findings and theories and so on and so forth. It sucks because like you're telling me that everyone has that thought. We've been having it. You know, what is the difference between what is your soul? Like what is a soul? Why the hell can we not get a grasp on it? We know where the fucking magnetic field is on Earth, and you're telling me we can't figure out what the magnetic field of our bodies is, aka a soul? No. Like, of course he's going to have these questions, knowing especially that he has this mega background in not only science and engineering and whatever the hell else, geology and so on, but also religion. Yeah. Of course he's going to ask these questions. And that's where they get you. They get us all there, Emmanuel. Don't feel bad, honey. It's okay.
Everything that Taylar said is my next paragraph here, is that in the early years, he was very much a man of reason, but he definitely is a product of an environment that was shaped by the importance of scientific studies and the importance of deep personal Lutheran upbringing. Right. So like exactly what Taylar said. Yeah. When Emmanuel was in his mid-50s, he entered into what he would later describe as a profound spiritual transformation. Now, the majority of actually all of this information that I have is from the Swedenborg Institute. Like it's like he documented everything. Yes. So this is all his words.
He was a journalist.
He was a journalist. Emmanuel had always been a man of deep faith, obviously, alongside his scientific curiosity. And by the early 40s, he was 1740s, he became increasingly restless. He was kind of wrestling himself in his brain with questions that his science, he couldn't work out. No matter how much science he put into it, it wasn't satisfying the questions that he had, answers that he could not get.
Emmanuel, we know.
In the spring of 1743, he began to record a series of vivid dreams in a private journal, and he called this the Journal of Dreams, marking what he later described as a significant turning point in his inner life. Is that a blender?
Yeah, Logan just turned on a blender. We literally said to him, be quiet.
Many of these dreams involved experiences that felt intensely real to him, including his own temptation, spiritual struggles, and imagery that he came to interpret as belonging to a world that was not the physical one that he was in. These early dreams were in his mind the start to a new kind of awareness, an awareness that life was not confined to what he could perceive with his eyes. Over the next year, these experiences evolved from nighttime visions while asleep to states of spiritual awakening even while fully conscious. Around April of 1744, Emmanuel recorded what he later described as his first true spiritual vision, a moment that he believed signaled the opening of his spiritual sight. In his later writings and recollections, he said that during this period, he became convinced that he had been chosen to understand and articulate the deeper inner meaning of the Bible and the nature of the spiritual realm. Okay. And this is when his perception of things really started to go beyond our world. To Emmanuel, everything was heightened. Senses, images, encounters, dreams, feelings. They were more distinct. They were vivid. And then boom, he has the most pivotal experience in April of 1745 when Emmanuel was in London. He would later tell his friends, and also they were recorded in letters that he sent out, that one day he was dining alone and the room seemed to just like darken down, like dimmer kind of. And he became aware of a presence that was unlike anything he had ever experienced. He described seeing this radiant figure approach him, whom he believed at the time to be Jesus Christ, and this figure spoke to him directly. In Emmanuel's own words, this figure identified himself as the Lord and told him that he had been appointed to convey the inner spiritual meaning of Scripture to humanity. This encounter, Emmanuel wrote, coincided with what he felt was the opening of his spiritual senses, allowing him from that moment forward to see into the spiritual world as clearly as we see the physical world with our eyes. He claimed that on that night, the spiritual world, so in this case, hell and heaven, were open to him for his own exploring, and that he saw numerous people of, quote, my acquaintance from all social classes in these spiritual realms. He later said that from this point on, he was able to talk with angels and spirits while fully awake, and that the experience was not hallucinatory at all, but a more persistent opening of perception. His words.
Okay, I'm kind of here with him.
I am too.
I'm here with him.
I'm actually kind of within this whole thing. It's gonna make a lot more sense at the end.
I'm nervous for where the bottom's gonna fall out, because
so, it's actually one of those stories that it may not. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna stay on the defense.
Right there, that just sounds like psychic and
yes.
like to me.
Like his gates opened.
Exactly.
That's where and I believe in that. Mm-hmm. So I've experienced it myself. So I'm here with him right now.
Yeah.
And he's like you said, he's a man of reason. Like he's just not gonna go and like talk crazy.
Yeah. Like all these years.
I mean, it's not like he just turned 30 and we could say like schizophrenia was involved. Like
right.
he's in his 50s.
Like 50.
Yeah. But you know what I have to say, when you were talking about the fact that it got dimmer in there, I'm thinking back in the 1700s, did they also dim the lights down mid-meal and make it so fucking dark? And like,
I guess so. They were like, blow out a candle.
I hate
so when light bulbs a thing.
When we're like, it happens all the time. I don't know why. At an Outback. Yeah. Well, I'm talking about like at an Outback where they lower the lights down.
Why?
And I'm like, why are we doing this? Right. All of a sudden I can't see.
Food looks better.
I don't know what I'm eating. Like, I don't know where I'm at. I'm claustrophobic
can't
all of a
see
sudden.
The menu.
Yeah. I'm stressed. Yeah. I don't know. I need maybe 15 more drinks, but I'm just gonna get freaked out.
Yep.
Anyways,
so he later said, I read that. He wrote that the spiritual world did not appear as a vague light or even abstract symbolism, but it was a structured realm of distinct beings and places, and that the communications he was receiving were as clear and direct as ordinary human conversation, as if he walked up to another human and just started talking to them. And this was the moment that his life changed. He said that after this opening of his spiritual sight, he kind of took back all of his earlier focus on his scientific studies, and he devoted himself entirely to exploring and documenting what he believed were the truths of the spiritual world. And the shift was not casual, it was not gradual, it was dramatic, it was quick, and it was this irreversible redirection of his entire life's work that continued on for the next 27 years until his death.
You know, this whole time I was thinking this man is neurodivergent, and then when you just told me that, 100%.
Yeah, he's like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm in. Fuck everything else.
Locked in.
I'm hyper-focused on this.
Yeah.
For the next 20 years.
Emmanuel's experiences with heaven and hell were the heart of his spiritual work, and he described them as real structured realms rather than these symbolic concepts. After his first vision in London, he wrote that he was able to visit these realms not in dreams or imagination, but fully conscious, awake state. He said that the spiritual world had just unfolded before him. It had clarity, there was order, as if he was just walking through cities or villages. Heaven, he reported, was this place of natural beauty and social organization. He observed communities where, this is heaven, communities where people lived in harmony, they were working, they were learning according to their abilities and their interests. And he claimed that the environment reflected the character of the people there. Those who were often generous or joyful or loving found themselves in these radiant spaces, while those who were selfish or cruel kind of gravitated towards darker, more confined areas. Now, all of this to say, heaven and hell to Emmanuel and how he described it, it was not like he walked through a door and he was in heaven or walked through a door and he was in hell. This is one world together.
Okay, because it's a spiritual realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Emmanuel said that hell was not a fiery pit created to punish the damned. Instead, it was self-chosen. It was a realm people entered because they clung to selfish desires and or refused to accept spiritual truths. The souls that he encountered there did not immediately recognize themselves as dead or damned. He described their surroundings as pretty dreary, oppressive, confusing, and that oftentimes it would reflect their inner states of the people that he was communicating to. Emmanuel noted that he sometimes encountered people that he had known in the physical world. He had observed that they had not changed in personality at all, and that their moral and emotional habits carried into the afterlife. So if they were a joyful person on earth, same thing. They were a joyful person in wherever they were. If they like knitting, then they were in the corner knitting.
You know what? I got to tell you, Emmanuel, you are 100% confirming exactly everything I've ever thought about heaven and hell.
Mm-hmm.
Because because you're saying, Morgan, what have we said this entire time? I think we go up, and purgatory is the fact that you have to come back until you can learn the lessons that get you to the higher versions of the realm, which means like joyful happiness. You know, I'm kind of pissed that we have to work in heaven.
Well, I think it's like,
but what else would we be doing? Just sit on clouds?
It's like a work, like it's like you love to garden, so you're like in the most dreamy garden, but it's like not exhausting to you. You don't feel pain.
I was going to say, where does my ADHD like work?
You don't have a time clock, an inner clock. Yeah. Like you're just like loving the outside, the fresh air, the fresh fruit, the fresh veggies. Like that's like that version of gardening. Whereas here you're like, these fucking weeds and fucking cucumbers are bulbing. Like your cucumbers would be perfect. Like,
oh my God, imagine I could grow perfect cucumbers in heaven.
Like that's how I'm on.
Yeah, I mean, because you're right. Like it's just like, it's exciting, and you are who you are, like at your core, who you are at your soul. It's just still there in the after, it's just being joyous and generous.
Yes.
And amen.
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 Amen, Emmanuel.
Amen.
Okay, where am I? Their moral emotional habits carried into the afterlife.
They're the same person.
And then their character that they carried through, this like continuation of their character, helped him argue that heaven and hell were determined not externally, but by the choices that people made in life. It was by the soul's choice, which I think is pretty like relevant in a lot of religions.
Yeah.
Emmanuel recorded that he could visit these realms frequently and for extended periods, sometimes for hours at a time, that the visits were very detailed. He would interact with angels, spirits, and also souls of the recently deceased. He said these interactions were not vague. He said the conversations were very meaningful, and sometimes he had watched souls as they arrived in heaven or hell immediately after death, witnessing their reactions, and actually helped guide them to the places most suited for their spiritual state.
Yeah, he's clairvoyant. I hate to tell everybody.
Yeah. He also noted that the spiritual world operated under a kind of divine order. One of the most interesting things that Emmanuel described was that he could see the layout of heaven and hell like a map. And he actually drew this map out.
Wow, I want to see.
Heaven, I actually don't have a picture of it. Heaven was made up of different areas where people lived based on the kind of person they were and what they loved. These areas looked familiar, like towns, gardens, landscapes, but they also reflected people's spiritual qualities rather than just physical appearances. He didn't have a clear layout like that, but it still reflected the inner feelings and choices of the people there. Emmanuel also said that heaven and hell had different levels where souls could grow or stay stuck. So like you said, they could grow or stay stuck, depending on whether these souls were willing to learn and change. These maps were meant to teach people about the results of their choices in life. He said that heaven was very social. People there were often grouped with others who shared the same loves that they did, the same values. The angels there acted as guides. They were helpers. They were not bosses in any way. They were always kind. They were wise. They would guide their souls towards goodness, helping them understand spiritual truths. Angels were teachers. They were companions and friends who worked with people's natural talents and loves.
Wow.
People did a lot of meaningful work, and they spent a lot of time learning, creating, and helping each other. Even simple things like talking or daily activities had a lot of deep spiritual importance if done with love and care. Now, hell was a little different. Emmanuel said it was a place where selfishness, hate, and lies took over. People there weren't being tortured by anybody, but they suffered because of their own choices and attitudes. Their surroundings and the company that they kept made their suffering worse. He said that he felt sad for them because many souls in hell could have chosen differently, but they kept following their bad habits. They had too much pride, or they were in denial. Demons were those who had rejected goodness and truth as a whole. So like their soul just went to like demonship, I guess. Right. Is kind of how I took that. I don't know. I could be wrong. He described the demons as very clever and very persistent, and they would often try to tempt or confuse people. But he did note that they could not force any soul to or anyone to do wrong. So they were there to tempt, and you know how they always say Satan is. Yeah.
I mean, it goes the same for it's how we experience people on earth.
Yeah. He also believed that spirits could communicate with each other and sometimes with the living. Yeah, you, buddy.
Yeah.
Literally you.
Y-O-U.
He said this communication was clear, it was understandable, and it followed the same moral order that he observed in heaven and hell. Emmanuel treated these beings seriously. He recorded their interactions in detail and used them to explain how human choices affected the soul even after death. His visions went far beyond simply seeing heaven, hell, or spiritual beings. He would then go on to describe experiences where he could perceive events in the natural world before they happen. So, premonitions.
Oh, shit.
These premonitions included fires, deaths, and other major events in Sweden and other parts of Europe. And he would record these visions very carefully. He treated them like observations in a scientific journal, and then he would share them with friends or other scholars. Some of Emmanuel's premonitions were reportedly accurate. For example, he claimed to foresee these massive fires break out in Stockholm and other cities, and he recorded these events affecting individuals he knew before the news reached them.
Wow.
And many people took his predictions seriously, which is why it is no surprise that all of this eventually led him to inspire a spiritual movement that became known as the New Church, or sometimes the Swedenborgian Church. However, this did come after death. So he is not a cult leader. He did not create this religion himself. These were followers. These were people that believed in him, believed in his writings, believed in his drawings. Premonitions, and so on and so forth. Emanuel Swedenborg died on March 29th, 1772 in Stockholm, Sweden at the age of 84. Reports say that he passed away peacefully in his sleep and was still highly respected by both followers of his spiritual teachings and members of the Swedish intelligence community. So they still respected him.
Well, yeah, and also he's not out here being like, and when they come, we're going to get our guns ready and they're going to come out,
drink this tea, and we're all going to ascend together.
And when the Halley's Comet passes by, we're going up. That's our fucking ticket to heaven. Like, he's not saying, and you got to listen to what I say, and I'm going to fuck all your wives, and we're all going to have kids, and that's it. Like, he's not saying anything fucking crazy. Like, and he's also not saying that you need to kill everyone. You know, he's being like, hey, just be a good person.
And like, this is what I saw.
This is what I saw. Believe it if you want. Sure.
Yeah,
like,
sure. But this is what I spent the last 30 years working on.
Like, I can get behind this guy.
I'm also dying. Yeah, me too. So he passed away peacefully in his sleep. The New Church movement was based on his belief that the Bible contained an inner spiritual meaning, which he called the internal sense, and that understanding the internal sense, or this hidden meaning, would guide people to live in alignment with divine truths and ascend to heaven. He emphasized that heaven and hell were real, that angels and spirits and demons influenced life, and that people's choices in the natural world shaped their eternal destiny. The New Church first took shape in the late 18th century after Emmanuel's death in 1772, primarily in Sweden, England, and the Netherlands, and it quickly spread to the United States in the early 19th century.
Wow.
Followers established churches, schools, publications to teach his spiritual philosophy, and unlike many religious movements, it focused less on strict ritual and more on personal moral growth, spiritual understanding, and living according to love and to wisdom. The movement is still active today. It has congregations around the world, including North America, Europe, Australia, so on and so forth, While it never became a major global religion, it did attract a lot of philosophers, a lot of artists and thinkers who were drawn to Emmanuel's combination, I guess, of rational thought and spiritual insight, the science life and the theology life.
Right.
The new church continues to study his writings and apply them to modern life, and they emphasize that spiritual perception and moral choice remain central to human experience. And that is the story of Emanuel Swedenborg, or the man who walked through worlds.
Oh, I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is also why I didn't sleep last night.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, everything that I know about him from your coverage of him, like, I really believe in the sentiment that, like, take what you need and leave the rest. Like, a lot of his stuff, I'm like, that's great. Like, I really like it. And I don't think that he ever intended for there to be, like, a church or a religion based off of him. And that's what I really like. Look, I'm not saying that I'm going to go to that church. I'm not going to go. Just so we're all clear, I'm never going to go to that church. But I like it. I like him a lot.
I like his reasoning. I like
that they didn't, like, strip his family's name and stuff. Like, he was so respected.
Yeah. Even when he died.
Yeah.
Like, people were like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of scholars were like, he went a little off the wagon at the end, but, like, he also liked quantum physics, and he was seeing things that he was pushing he was busting atoms together and seeing shit that shouldn't be there.
You know what? Like, let him do his thing. He never hurt nobody, and that's it.
Yeah.
He just went and sat in a dimly lit restaurant with an angel.
Yeah.
Damn, I really liked his interpretation of it a lot. I think that aligns with, like, my interpretation of it.
It has a lot of, like, Christian, how we interpret the Bible as Christians.
Very Protestant,
It's very similar to how I'm sure he was raised, and then also clairvoyancy.
Well, and I appreciated what he said about, like, the Bible's hidden meaning, aka no one can tell you exactly. That's why, like, when people create sermons are based off of the pastor or preachers and priest interpretation of the Bible. But it is your responsibility as someone who is listening to and or reading the Bible to take what sticks and leave the rest.
Right.
And interpret it on how it is. So, like, they say, like, if you read the Bible yourself, you're going to have a completely different experience rather than going to a church and, like, doing, like, a Bible study with other people, because how you interpret the Bible and what it says and, like, the hidden messages in it and what these, because in the end, we all know that, like,
I also would love to read, like, his version of the Bible that he was interpreting versus, like, the one that we
and
have
I wonder
today.
what language and, like, what version of the Bible that he
I have no idea
read, because that changes a lot. I mean, 1700s Bible is very different from the Bible that we have today. You know?
Yeah.
Because the one that we have today, I'm not even going to go on that soapbox. We don't have time. Loved it so much, Morg. Moving on to my case. Okay, so the case I have for you guys today is the Widden Hill Farm. It's the morning of Monday, April 6, 1984, when 37-year-old Margaret Backhouse grabs her purse and keys to head into town to pick up some supplies from their veterinarian office. Margaret was a local fundraiser and treasurer for Save the Children charity, also worked on her and her husband's family's farm and raised their 2 children. Everyone loved Margaret and was enamored by her beauty and style. Morgan, I sent you pictures of her.
Yeah, she's stunning. Taylar just sent me these 3 like old style pictures, and I was like, I don't know what this is for, but yeah, she's gorgeous.
I was like, sorry, I just want to go ahead and get this to you so you could just know what I'm talking about when I talk about it. She's stunning.
I have to go look again.
She is so stunning. Well, as she's walking out the door alongside her husband, 43-year-old Graham Backhouse, as he was heading to their farm's milking shed, he reminded her that she needs to take his car as hers had become like unreliable. It wasn't starting every single time, and he hadn't finished working on it yet. Margaret like laughed at herself for being so forgetful. She was like, classic case of, mom brain after getting the kids ready for school so they can make the school bus. As she like turns around, Graham goes on to...
This is literally a paparazzi pic.
It really is. Well, it actually is. But
crazy.
They laugh and she's like, okay, I'm going to go back in. So they say goodbye. He goes to the milking shed. She grabs the keys to Graham's Volvo, and then she heads to their barn that they now used as a garage just off the side of their farmhouse. Margaret got into her husband's Volvo, placed her purse on the passenger seat as she shut the door behind her. I'm sure like mess with all the mirrors and everything to get them all right. And then she puts the key in the ignition and turns him over. when something exploded beneath the car, sending shrapnel through the now non-existent floorboards, ripping the driver's seat that Margaret sat on in half.
Oh my God.
Blood was everywhere as Margaret looked down at her legs, ears ringing, panic shrouding her thoughts. The tissue on her lower half had been torn to shreds.
Oh my gosh.
Frantic with adrenaline pumping through her entire body, Margaret was somehow able to open the driver's side door and throw herself to the now charred ground and began crawling out of the barn. The exact moment that she managed to get herself outside the barn, she watched as a school bus pulled up in front of their home. She put her one hand up in the air and just desperately began waving for help. The bus driver, Michael Cleverly, threw the bus in park and sprinted to Margaret's aid. Meanwhile, the girl who he had just picked up from the farm next door, a young girl named Susan Wilkie, jumped off the bus behind Michael, the driver, and sprinted through the farm screaming for Graham. Graham sprinted out of the milking shed, out of earshot from the barn, after hearing Susan's screams, and followed her to the barn as she told him that Margaret had been in a terrible accident. Susan knew the Backhouses very well, as her parents were good friends with them, and she would often play with their two children. As I said, she lived on the farm next door. When Susan and Graham arrived at the barn, Graham began shaking and lost all of his coloring as he stood and looked over at his beloved wife in such a terrible condition. Michael was tending to her wounds, so Graham sprinted inside the house and called for help before returning to his wife with a blanket. He covered her lower half and tried to hold her as she begged for him to not move or touch her. So instead, he just stayed beside her and kept her talking through their tears as they waited for the ambulance to arrive. But there was just one thing going through Graham's mind. This was no accident. Someone was trying to kill him, but because Margaret's car was broken down, they got her instead. And he knew it had something to do with those calls and letters. So let's rewind.
What calls and letters?
Let's rewind to March. So 1 month prior. It's March of 1984 in the village of Horton, southwest England, when Graham Backhouse is going through his mail and he spots an envelope addressed directly to him. He opens it up as he's walking back to the house and he finds a letter that reads, quote, "At last I have found you. You have ruined my sister's life. Now you must pay." And that was it. No explanation, no sign off, just those 3 short sentences on a piece of paper. Having absolutely no fucking clue what the hell this was about, Graham just throws it away when he walks inside the house.
I don't know what that's all about.
But a few days later, Graham was standing in his kitchen when the phone rang. He picked it up to hear a man's voice on the other line, using what sounded like a very obviously fake Irish or Scottish accent, threatening to, quote, blow Graham's balls off before abruptly hanging up. And the next week, it happened again. This time, the caller threatened Graham's family and called them each by name. It was at this point that he decided he needed to tell his wife about these calls and that weird letter, as it was finally starting to get to him. You see, Graham owned and operated his family's 300-acre dairy farm, which he inherited, called Widden Hill Farm. 43-year-old Graham lived on the property in the farmhouse with his family, wife 37-year-old Margaret, and their 2 young children, 8-year-old Harry and 6-year-old Sophie. But it wasn't until Tuesday, April 3rd, 1984, that Graham and Margaret decided it was time to get police involved with these threats. When one of their farmhands, which they had several of, was walking the fence line around the property, this is like a 45-minute perimeter to get all the way around, making sure that everything's okay with the fence, and comes across something incredibly disturbing and trigger warning for animal cruelty here. A freshly decapitated sheep's head was impaled on one of the farm's fence posts.
Oh my God. That's
with
sick.
A note pinned just beneath it on a scrap piece of notebook paper that read, "You next," written in blood.
What the fuck?
The Backhouses.
Is this a horror movie?
It literally
Are you
sounds
describing
like
a movie
it. Literally sounds like it was written. The Backhouses. Oh, you think I'm pulling the Polar Express on you again?
Yeah, I do.
Patreon knows what we're talking about.
The Getty image is getting me. I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go.
Oh God, no. The Backhouses were now terrified for their family, their animals, and now their employees.
Dude, I would be packed up on a plane so quick.
Gone. Witness protection program. When officers arrived to inspect the scene, neither Graham or Margaret could even conjure up a reason as to why someone would be harassing them like this. But because there were clear signs of escalation over like a 3-week time span, officers were like, okay, we need to act, and we need to act now. So they placed a recording device on the farmhouse's phone line while also trying to figure out who this person was, starting with looking into the Backhouse's history. Because if you'll remember, as I told you just a few minutes ago, this was Graham's family farm that he had inherited and taken over. One of the first things investigators found was a small hiccup on Graham's record. So over 10 years prior, so 1974, Graham and his father, Bill, were both convicted of stealing 3 young cows from a neighboring farm, for which they were each fined 600 pounds. Well, Bill, Graham's father, passed away 7 years prior to this incident, so 3 years after the convictions, in 1977. And since then, Graham had worked incredibly hard to make up for his and his father's mistake, rebuilding the Backhouse's reputation, and was now highly respected and regarded again. Literally making up with the farmer that they stole the cows from, and they were now close friends. So like all was good. Meaning that situation,
it's classic neighbor farm stuff.
It's classic small town farm shit. Yep. It really is. Meaning that situation, the hiccup on his record, really definitely clearly didn't have anything to do with what was happening with this fucking sheep's head and the threats. But not even 6 days after the sheephead incident, on Monday, April 9th, there was another letter that showed up in the Backhouse's mailbox that read, quote, "Came twice last week, but the pigs were out." I'm assuming referring to the police. "See you soon." And before Graham could even call and report this to the detective he had been working with about the threats, that's when Margaret was blown up in the car.
Oh, shit.
After being rushed to the hospital, doctors spent... So that's the recap. After being
rushed... What year are we again?
1984.
Okay.
In Horton, England. Southwest England.
Okay.
After being rushed to the hospital, doctors spent hours removing the shrapnel from Margaret's lower half, doing everything that they could to save her remaining tissue and reconstruct her body from the hips down, which they were successful in doing. Her injuries were consistent with those you would see in a war zone. Wow, meanwhile, back at Widden Hill Farm, investigators shut down the scene and called an army bomb disposal unit to clear the barn and the property. Once they determined that there were no more bombs, no more live explosive experts began processing the scene, determining that this was a homemade pipe bomb made using a 10 centimeter long piece of steel scaffolding pipe that was screwed onto a cast iron collar and packed with 4,500 lead pellets and 12 shotgun cartridges worth of gunpowder.
Wow.
Which had been wired to the Volvo's ignition as well as the fuse to the driver's side seat heater directly below the driver's side seat under the car, completely out of view from
So not only were they just there on the property, but they were there for a hot minute.
Fucking hot wiring the car.
Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, from the outside, the car looked virtually unharmed and unassuming even after the explosion. Outside of the roof being like slightly dented from the inside and a window pane being cracked. Specialists reported that had this been any other car, Margaret would have 100% been killed instantly. But because of it being a Volvo and this specific make and model of Volvo, her life was spared due to its thinner and more flexible floor panels, which absorbed the majority of the explosion, and its solid and heavy seats that were bolted to the frame of the car that acted as a safety cage. Just another testament to the unmatchable safety features that Volvo has. Like, I don't know if I've said it before on the podcast. Volvos are the safest, and not sponsored. I fucking wish it was. Volvos are the safest cars that money can buy you. They are unbelievably unmatched for their safety features. Love a Volvo.
Mom car.
I literally
mom car.
My only beef with Volvo, because guys, a Volvo was my first car. It was like an older one and it had like a lot of electrical issues. God forbid it rained. The car wouldn't start. Like, they have some electrical drama going on with those girls, but you get in a wreck, you're good.
Yeah.
You get in a wreck, you're gonna...
Their SUVs are also a little tight.
Yeah, little tight. But it's because there's a damn roll cage in it. Yeah. Like, every single one of them has a roll cage in it. We don't have time. I'll talk about my first car at a later date. I probably have talked about it at length prior. So where am I at? Investigators also agreed with Graham's thoughts about this attack, that this was 100% targeted at him, just like the calls, the letters, and the sheephead incident. And unfortunately, Margaret was just caught in the crossfires of it all. Therefore, it was decided that Harry and Sophie, their 2 children, should be sent to live with Graham's mother, their grandmother, for safety. And guards were stationed outside of Margaret's hospital room 24/7, as well as the Widden Hill Farm, where Graham had to return in order to continue operations of the dairy farm. But before returning to the farm after being with Margaret in the hospital, Graham went to the police station for an official interview to give his statements. He recounted the events from the weeks prior and everything that happened that morning leading up to the explosion, adding that he actually might know what this could be stemming from. Listing off a few persons of interest, which is a stark change in tune.
Yeah.
Now that his wife's not beside him when being questioned by police. So I think you could guess where this is going. Starting off with some people that the letters could have been referencing, because remember that first one that said, "At last I have found you, you've ruined my sister's life, now you must pay"?
Yeah.
Wow. Graham confessed that during his and Margaret's 12 years of marriage, he had had multiple affairs, including occasionally having sex with Gillian Lippiat, a 24-year-old local shepherdess who lived on her family's farm that overlooked Widden Hill Farm. An affair that Graham said had been going on for 9 years.
Holy shit.
Explaining to investigators that he had no romantic feelings towards Gillian. She didn't have any romantic feelings towards him, but he was ultimately just flattered that he was getting attention from someone half his age. Now, side note, if you know how to do math, you're saying that this began 9 years ago and she's 24, so it started when she was 15? That's a crime within itself.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is.
So I'm sure police
not in Europe in the 80s, but yeah.
Not in 1984, but I'm sure police are sitting there listening to that like, okay. But in the months leading up to the harassment, he had had a drunken hookup with a woman named Caroline Hodkinson, who was the wife of Graham's best friend and best man at Graham and Margaret's wedding.
Oh, shit.
David Hodkinson. At this point, it was actually no surprise at all to police because the rumor mill had already gotten to them and started churning, talking about a lover's quarrel or whatever. And I mean, hell, guys, the town of Horton, or the village, it's a village. The village of Horton only had 250 residents. Yeah. So when I say everyone knows everything about everyone, I mean it.
Yeah.
I mean it. They knew everything. They knew everything. That's like your high school. Like, yeah. It's smaller. Like, it's crazy. Now, going back to Gillian, the 24-year-old that Graham claims to have been sleeping with since she was 15, her father was one of the most accomplished and best cereal crop growers in the industry and well known and loved around Horton and beyond. Not only that, but his family and the Backhouse's family had been incredibly close friends for over a decade. So if Gillian's father had learned about his old buddy Graham sleeping with his innocent and young daughter starting at 15 years old, it wouldn't be a surprise if he would retaliate against him.
For sure.
Especially after Graham had attempted also growing cereal crops a few years prior on some of his excess land.
And their neighboring farm, they already got beef. Now you're fucking
beef. And now you're fucking my daughter. Double beef. Yeah. We're honestly, bad. Okay. Now, as for Caroline, the wife of Graham's best friend / best man at Graham's wedding.
Yes.
Of course, his drunken hookup would trigger David, Caroline's husband, who was an electrical engineer with previous experience working with explosives and also made repairs on Graham's Volvo in the past, which then made David person of interest numero uno, because whoever installed that car bomb had to be not only extremely familiar with that specific car, but as you even alluded to, they would have had to have extended access to the car, spanning days and hours at a time in order to make sure it fit properly. Yeah. All of which David had. It was his best friend. Yeah. But that wasn't the end of Graham's list of people who might want to hurt him.
Okay, Graham.
He also explained to police that he was in the middle of having this like property boundary dispute with one of his neighbors, 63-year-old Colin Bedale Taylar, whose driveway ran along the back fields of Widden Hill Farm. And according to Graham, Colin had been refusing to allow him to use the driveway to access the fields, which is why they started this legal dispute. Because he was like, your driveway's on my property. I need to get to my back property, and it's easier if I can just come this way. Why the hell can I not use your driveway?
He's like, yeah, no.
He's like, no, I know it's on your property, but it was there before I bought it, so take that up with your dead daddy.
Yeah,
that's how it go.
I know of a similar situation like
I
that.
I can list off like 15 that I know of. So Graham explains to police that, this is a guy that I have a problem with. And it was really no secret in Horton that Colin hadn't been in the best state of mind in recent years. But on top of all of that, he was also a former Army officer who knew his way around with some explosives. However, police felt that this was the most unlikely theory out of the three. Like, let's put them beside each other. Land dispute, fucking my 15-year-old daughter for 9 years, and trying to take my crops, and fucking your best friend's wife.
Yeah.
Land dispute is not even on that list.
But the opportunities at this point are endless.
And they truly are endless at this point. So
because the list is endless.
Let's see. After this interview, Graham returned to Widden Hill Farm and got back to work, visiting with Margaret at any chance he could get, with both of them being under, again, 24-hour protection. Over the next week, no calls came into the farmhouse, no letters were delivered, and no animals were harmed. But in the meantime, police began looking into Jillian and Caroline, as well as their families, and bringing them all in for questioning. Starting off with Jillian and her family members, who all denied any and all involvement, with Jillian being absolutely taken aback and stunned at Graham's claims of their sexual affair, telling police that it was a, quote, complete figment of Graham's imagination, extremely distasteful and simply untrue, explaining that her only interactions with Graham over the years had included him occasionally helping her shear sheep or euthanize a fatally injured animal, but nothing at all sexual had ever transpired between the two of them.
Interesting.
As for Caroline and David, when police went to their house to question them, they learned that David was in Spain, where he had been since just before the explosion, which to police didn't fully rule him out. Like, you could have placed it there
absolutely
well before that. Therefore, the second he returned home, he was arrested and held for 2 days of questioning. But he denied any involvement, claiming to not know anything about the drunken hookup between his wife and Graham. And finally, after not finding any evidence that could connect David to the bomb, he was released. At this point, it had been 9 days since Margaret was nearly killed in an explosion, and police were no closer to finding their suspect. Frustrated, Graham went to police with an idea. Now that his wife and children were safe and protected, he wanted to bait this motherfucker that did this to his family. So he suggested that they end their 24-hour protection of himself and the farm, leaving it with Margaret and the kids, so that the attacker could, quote, have another go at me.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I kind of respect him for that.
Yeah.
Like, while my family is taken care of and I don't need to worry about them and it's only me here, then bring it on. Like, let's see. Seeing as clearly their attacker wasn't going to strike when there was such a heavy police presence around, which, as we all know, can't last forever. So his worry was like, okay, the second that my family's back home and the police protection ends, are we going to get bombed again? Like, what's going to happen? And finally, after lots of pushing and pleading, police did agree, but only after they had placed panic buttons on the farm's phone line, providing a direct link for Graham and them. So like, all he has to do, he doesn't even have to be on the phone with dispatch. Like, just click that button, we're gonna be out here.
Damn.
At which point the waiting game began. And almost 2 weeks went by with no incident and no tips or leads that police could work with. Therefore, investigators decided to have a deeper look into 63-year-old Colin Taylar, the neighbor that Graham was in this boundary dispute with.
Was that the ratio of less likely?
So they were like, okay, we can't get these other two, but I mean, hell, we might as well just like see this one through. And it was mainly like a precaution. Like, let's just rule this out so we don't have to think about it anymore. So on Monday, April 30th, 1984, 3 weeks exactly since the bombing, investigators went over to interview Colin and his wife, who was also named Margaret. And that's where we're going to pick up next week in part 2.
Sorry, guys, it's so late, but here I have a theory.
Okay.
This is a crazy theory, but this is where my brain is going. I think that Graham, right?
Graham's the farmer?
Graham, his wife, Margaret.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that...
Because then there's Colin and Margaret.
Graham is in a major land battle, and obviously. And Graham is like, I'm going to do this. Obviously, I didn't want my wife to get hurt, but I was just going to scare myself. I leave these little notes around. That way, at the end of the day, he can pin it on all of his neighbors, and then they don't
get all their land.
Get all their land.
I want that cereal crop farm. Yep. I want my fucking driveway to my backfields.
Yeah, that's where my brain was. When everyone was like, no, that didn't. I'm like, he fucking made this up. Pin it all on them. Get them all arrested. So
here's the thing. I couldn't find Caroline disputing the claim that they had hooked up.
Caroline is
Dave, his best man's wife.
Oh. But David's like, I didn't. That's news to me.
Well, David's like, this is the first time I'm hearing about it. And honestly, if David did it, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I did it. That motherfucker fucked my wife. Like,
that's true. Be like, I didn't hear what he did. What?
But we will circle back next week on Thursday because it's after 10 and we have a long way to go. Like, I'm talking 12 more pages to go. So
I'm clocked in. I'm actually going to look it up tonight.
No, you better not, Morgan, because I wrote it so good.
I'll just have you tell me. I'll forget. You know I'll forget.
No.
I'll forget.
Don't, just get in your car and it's going to immediately swipe away. You don't even want to Google it. Don't Google anything.
Okay.
Because I worked really hard on these notes.
Okay.
I did a really good job. I'm really sorry to do this to y'all, but I'm really fucking starving and tired.
Me too.
And you got a long TVB. And you talked to us 4 times.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. Get out of here.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Maybe.
I'm like, I don't know where the fucking mouse is at.